You know, life's a funny thing. Some of us are dealt some pretty cruddy cards, and then we're expected to just grow up. Normal. That leaves a lot of us to struggle as we navigate through life's difficult times. And if you're anything like me, you have no idea what the hell normal is. Welcome to the Wishbone Podcast with me, your host, Luke Ohana, as we discuss and share our life stories in hopes of helping each other out. So if you got 30 minutes, let's talk about it. Now, to put you in a tough spot, what would happen if you're... I don't know if you can answer this because your dad really... He wasn't abusive, right? He just was absent?
Yeah, he had a different family. He could never be there.
If he was somehow aggressive towards your kids, this really goes without saying, but you know, that's when you would, I guess, put into place certain boundaries or whatnot, just to protect both sides, I guess.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's never met them in person yet. That is a goal here. But
where is he living, by the way?
He's living in Oceanside, California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in a nice spot.
And he's in the military, right? Or he was?
Yeah, he retired a master gun from the Marines.
That's pretty nuts. Yeah, and I remember you said you wanted to join the Marines for a little while there.
Yeah,
right?
I had told him about that while we were on Kauai. I told him, Dad, I want to join the Marines, and he had told me, son, you're not the smartest. You shouldn't do that. Only because
thanks, Dad.
He was against joining the Marines rather than any branch of military, because Marines, in his eyes, were pretty damn tough to deal with. And he's had multiple back surgeries, neck surgeries, and he can barely walk today. And my buddy, who I was supposed to be doing the buddy system with, his back is all fucked up too. And he was only in there for a 5-year contract. Yeah, so he was happy that I didn't go. But it was more than that for me. I wanted to make somebody proud. It wasn't even really about, me becoming somebody. It was just making somebody proud of that. I just wanted to get a good reaction. Yeah, he didn't really like that at all. I'm happy he didn't like it.
You stupid? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that, and I'd be curious to know why, if you have an answer, but you seem to have this desire to to have a father figure, like any kid would, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know why if you can explain it, why it was so strong for you. And the only reason I'm asking is because I'm curious to know if people who don't have this craving or this desire, if they go astray, or if that desire to have a father figure, or desire to look up to somebody, is that what kept you in line more so than if you didn't have it? Because I know you and I both talked about how we could have easily ended up being drug addicts or 10 kids and a deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to know what allowed you to stay on the quote unquote right side of this upbringing.
For the most part, it's just because I could see my mom, especially after that divorce where Vernon took everything. Our lives were not in a good spot. There was one point where she was eating nothing but rice for a very long time, nothing but rice, not even canned foods or nothing, just so she could get me the better food that has the nutrients in it. And she was passing out all the time because she has that diabetes where if you get low blood sugar, you pass out, or whatever happens with. And so she was passing out all the time. And as a kid growing up, I noticed she's having a hard time keeping her shit together, but she's keeping it together for us. And if I add fuel to the fire, I'm being a bad son. And I do not want to be a bad son because she's being the best mom that she can be. Why would I be a bad son to her? So that's basically what kept me in line. I mean, she's great. It was more communication than anything from her. So it really helped out.
You guys talked quite a bit growing up.
She never held anything back from me. Any question I had, she would 100% answer it with as much truth as she could.
Really? I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I don't know if I'm going to say I struggle with it, but I didn't grow up with that, so I have a very hard time understanding if there is such a thing as too much information. Mm-hmm. I don't hold anything back, but I still am
Yeah.
terrified my kids are going to ask me something and I'm going to be like, do I say something? But so far I haven't, and maybe that's been the key to me and the boys. But I don't know. I'm just very curious. I had mentioned in the last episode that I always am curious at how other people parent, and I have always looked up to how you not only parent but how you were a partner to Felicia, because it seems like we did it without um, like a roadmap, or we don't do it with a roadmap. But after this discussion, it seems like you actually did have a pretty good idea of what you thought was the right thing to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a real rough draft version of what a
Yeah.
dad or stepdad's supposed to be, and that's the most unfortunate part about Coavius and my relationship is um, I grew up with him, uh,
Oh, I
whereas
see.
these next ones they're getting a dad, they're getting a
Like a
full-on
polished
dad,
version. Yeah.
very yeah. And my number one commitment is to them and their mom, and they're gonna know that. There's not gonna be one doubt in their
Yeah.
mind. Whereas with Kaivi, I was I was so stupid and just irresponsible, and it took me a while to grow up.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I do know that you and Koivi are pretty damn tight, though. I mean, I know there's some issues there, but like any relationship, there's issues. I'm sure me and
Mm,
the boys are going to have issues down the line. Or me and William, for instance, we have issues. But
mm.
it is, I think, in the end, though, you guys are going to probably be that father son duo that's more a friend than parent offspring. You know,
I
at
hope
least it
so.
seems to
Yeah,
me. I have no idea where it's going. Yeah, same. I hope so too.
yeah,
But it is interesting to me. Yeah, to kind of look back on you guys. We'll see what happens in the next 20 years. That's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think after everything that we've been through, I'm almost positive that eventually there's going to be a hey, thanks, Dad. But
Yeah, for sure.
like, I don't think I didn't tell you just the other day. What day was that? I think I stayed home. No, it was Monday. No, Sunday. It was one of the, he wasn't on at school. No, Saturday, sorry. So, um, he had an absence on Friday, and I told him,
Mm.
or God damn it, let me get my day straight. He had an absence on Thursday. Comes home, and he said, "Oh, I was at class. I wasn't absent. She just didn't see me." So I said, "Okay, I'll let you have your phone because if you get usually it's if he gets an absence, he gets his phone taken away for the day." I said, "All right, fine. I'll
Right.
let you have your phone, and tomorrow when you go to school, you talk to your teacher, whatever. If it's actually an absence and not a tardy, then you get your phone taken away for 2 days." He said, "Okay," that night on Thursday night. So I email his teacher and I ask what happens from her side of the story, and she said, unfortunately, Kaivi was too tardy for it to just count as a tardy. So like
Oh,
anything after
okay.
5 minutes, it's not a tardy anymore. It's a late. I mean, it's an absence. And so
Okay.
I screenshot that email response and sent it to Kaivi and said, "Sorry, bud." And then he got upset because he said, "Now I can't convince my teacher to turn it into a tardy because of you," or something along those lines. Whereas, you made the mistake. I didn't make a mistake. Why are you upset at me? Kind of. So that went on. It escalated, and while I was at work on Friday, he comes home and Felicia said, "Hand it over." And he argued and argued, and he was like, "Dad's not even here. Just let me have it." Blah
Oh my
blah.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, and she got it from him. The next day, Saturday, I'm outside doing the chicken coop, and he's upset. I can tell every time I come into the room, he's trying to talk to his mom, and he's trying to get the phone from her. So I come inside from doing the chicken coop because he was getting ready to go snowboarding, and I was just curious as to what he was planning for the day without his phone. So he shuts up when I get into the house. I said, "You're not trying to swindle your mom for your phone right now, are you?" He says, "Well, I need it." And that's when I kind of like went off the handles, and I valved this off. I started screaming, yelling, cussing, and so it turned into him packing his stuff and saying, "I'm leaving and I'm never coming back."
Oh wow.
So he walks out of the house, and I see him walking out with all this stuff and said, "Make sure you got extra warm clothes. It's gonna be really cold tonight," and all that stuff. And he's got a snowboard, and Felicia pops her head out of the door. She says he has his phone. So he's like down our driveway already, and I run over there and hand it over. "You're not taking your phone." He says, "I need it to get on the bus." "Okay, so go scrape up some change." He said, "I'm not doing that." It turned into him giving me his phone because I took my
Mm.
gun out of my waist, I cleared it, threw it on the ground, I kicked off my boots. I said, "You're not leaving with that phone. You can leave. You can go
Yeah.
wherever you want, but you're not leaving with the phone. You're not getting
Okay.
away with this punishment because you did something you weren't supposed to, and you're always trying to talk your way out of it, no matter what it is."
Right.
So when I kicked off all my stuff and I was ready, he said, "Fine, take it." So he walked over to the bus stop, convinced the bus lady to let him on, and without his
Jeez.
pass, because his pass is on his app. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
and so he came back that night and apologized. But I actually forgot why I got on this rant. What was this all about? I hate when I do that.
Same.
Yeah.
But I think it was how you guys are gonna reconnect, or finally he's gonna say thanks, Dad.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Still don't know how to connect what I just said. Um, but
Wait, real quick. Being a parent is, I think this is it. Like, if anyone's gonna come in here and throw shade, like, fuck off. You know, being a parent
yeah,
is not. You can't just judge somebody's view. Anyway, hope no one does. Everyone makes mistakes. If you consider this a mistake, it should be you that considers a mistake, no one else. So if you have any fucking attitude to throw at us, fuck off. But anyway, we're here to learn. That's what we're trying to say. So anyway, so what
yeah.
happened?
So he ended up coming home that night, and I was like, I told Felicia, I guarantee he's gonna spend at least 3 days out of the house. He's gonna go find some friend's house or a coworker's house to stay the night at. But he doesn't have his phone, and he doesn't have any money. So he's going to Spirit right now. I know that, and we'll see what happens tonight. So I was a little bit worried because it was really cold out. He's probably gonna be sleeping at the bus stop bench, but
Aye.
I wasn't worried for his well-being. I knew that eventually he was coming back, and he was going to quickly realize that his parents give him everything. His parents provide
Yeah.
everything for him. And if he can't follow simple rules, if he can't do chores because that's his rent, if he can't show up to class and do his homework, then he's just this homeless guy off the street that is taking advantage of us. If that's how he's going to treat
Mm.
us with little to no respect, and he doesn't want to do any of the things that he's supposed to do as his rent, then what are you to us? Why do you want to live in this house? Right? I think
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
pretty important question. But but what I've learned from that experience that I'm gonna be applying to the next three, I think maybe this is what I started this rant for, was
Yeah. I think you're
the
right, man.
yelling. The yelling. I think if I hadn't yelled when I came into the house asking if he was trying to swindle his mom for his phone, and just said, "Hey, you're not getting it. You can go, you can miss the bus, or you can walk to Spirit Mountain with your snowboard in hand, but you're not getting your phone." And just left it at that as a matter of fact type of statement, rather than going off the handles. I think, sir, he would have been upset, but I don't think he would have stormed out of the house thinking he'll never come back again.
I got you because it got escalated or ramped up a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm learning that
Uh
yelling
huh.
doesn't like it's not an effective form of communication probably for any situation. Maybe unless you're in the middle of a combat field or something, but
Yeah.
especially for
Like
your
I've learned
kids.
yelling. Yeah. Like I've learned yelling is a sign that I'm out of tools now. I'm out of resources, and now my
Yep.
only backup tool is to yell. Like
Yeah.
every time, I'm always like, why am I yelling? Every time.
Yeah. It's kind of really ingrained in me at this point. It's really hard to fight.
Oh, absolutely. It's my go-to. That or
Hmm.
I'm gonna punch a wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just I was writing in my journal last night, and it was basically
which
yelling
is
is
awesome.
yeah. Check this out. I got a journal pocket
Guy, that is so sick. So you're having that's just ready to go,
all day.
just in case it hits you. Dude, I think that's so awesome. I think
Yeah,
it's
so I
super
was
important. Yeah, I think
yeah.
your
I
inner
never
dialogue
knew
needs
that
to happen.
it was this useful. And I'm looking back at it
Oh,
like
that's
every
so
other, yeah,
awesome.
it's freaking awesome. So last night I was reading, or not reading, but writing in my journal list, and I was thinking about this, like the yelling thing. And so I put down, yelling isn't effective because it only lasts as long as you're yelling at the kid. So the kid knows that when all the yelling is done, yeah, it might have been scary, but it's done now. So a much more effective form of communication to your kids, and it helps teach them like the how the world works too, because if you go to work and you don't do work, you don't get yelled at really, you just get fired or you don't get paid.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you go to school and you don't do any work, you flunk. You don't get really yelled at, you just flunk.
Yeah.
So it's like this for that. So I'm starting to think that the this for that method is what I'm calling it, is the most effective way to teach your kids, because if you don't
Oh, wow.
do this in almost any situation, then you won't get that, which is probably something that you
Hmm.
want or need. So, and if you can calmly communicate that with your kids, uh, it's not a fear-based thing. It's like why should they be afraid of me? You know what I mean? They should just
Right,
know
yeah.
that as what dad says goes, because if I don't do what he said, then I don't get that thing that I want. Rather than, oh, if I don't do the thing, he's going to yell at me and I'm scared that he's going to yell. I don't think that that's as effective.
Right, because then when you're scared, you're not open. You're not open to communication or to admit that you're wrong or to
Yeah.
try to see the other person's side. And I've noticed so I've been really, how I am with my boys. I'm pretty open with them.
Oh yeah.
Some of the more gory aspects of my past I've kind of censored, but I think as we've grown up together, and they've seen or they've come to realize just how hard it is for me to communicate in a calm way, they've really come to appreciate the fact that I am trying so hard, if that makes any sense. Because there's been a
Hmm.
few times where Graham will, like, Graham will give me a tap on the shoulder and say, that was probably tough for you, Dad. Good job. And it was
Oh
super
really?
tough for me. It's been tough for me. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think they realize, and then Erwin is so bitterly honest. Like, he's like, oh, you're just being a jerk. I'm like, I am? Like, I have resting dick face, and I don't mean to.
Yeah.
I actually just had to sit down with Lily because Lily's kind
Oh
of throwing her weight around and she's becoming like a little teenager. And so
yeah.
I said, I need to have a talk with you. And she was shaking. And so I'm like, first off, you're not in trouble. Like, you're not, like, whatever this is saying, don't listen to it, which is such a cruddy thing to say to somebody. But afterwards, she opened up and she's like, yeah, I thought you were pissed. I thought you were going to yell at me.
Wow.
And that whole that thing, like if you can calmly express yourself and don't be a bully, then you're going to get whatever you want, whatever that is. And that was much more clearly delivered in that talk than it would have been if I was like, up in arms and freaking out. So I definitely
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
see what you're talking about. But
Yeah. I don't,
yeah,
especially when you're
pretty.
screaming. I think they're gonna remember just you screaming more than what you were screaming about.
Yeah, what were you talking about? I have no idea. You just looked really mad. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it might be like one of them defense mechanisms, like how you talked about in the previous episodes, or how like guys with PTSD will just kind of black out and they don't
Mm-hmm.
really remember anything that had happened. They just remembered like something crazy happened. They don't remember any of the details.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I will eventually talk about it, but one of the worst um, memories I have of my dad is when I just listened to him berate me for like 90 minutes.
Oh
He didn't know I
God.
was there. I was in a closet, but he just ripped me a new one. And like, but I can't remember a time where every detail, like I can with that incident, I can't remember where he physically beat me up as clearly as I can with him just, I mean, ripping me in half verbally. So I think
Wow.
that kind of resonates with me too. Like, I don't think you and I have ever had an argument though, but I think because we are able to clearly express ourselves, and that's what I remember. Really, to kind of bring this home
Uh-oh.
is,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, I don't think we have had an argument, have we?
No, no, we haven't
No.
had an argument. There was like one thing about like maybe it was the vaccines or Trump or something, but we had a great
Oh, yeah,
conversation about it. Yeah, it wasn't.
yeah.
It
I would
was
say
not
that
an
was
argument.
no, that was a discussion, and I do. We should talk about that because I remember one thing we should know to state there because, yes, it's important to surround yourself with people that kind of align with your views on life, but I think it's
Oh yeah,
equally important to that when you have a connection like you and I do, um, regardless of what our political views are, our life views are, we have a connection, and I think we kind of honor that connection by maintaining this closeness.
yeah,
Because your political views are definitely different than mine, as they should be, hands down. Like I don't think that's a bad thing.
yeah,
Um, but I do remember going into that conversation super nervous, like
yeah,
this could be the end, you know. And then I remember you looking at me like, "You're an idiot. Like, don't be scared to talk to me. Don't ever hold back. Just talk to me." You know, if we have a serious conversation, it's a conversation. It's not, the divorce
yeah.
decree. But
I get,
kind of,
I get the
yeah,
tiptoeing around though, because that's not how relationships are these days anymore. You can't
right.
do that anymore. It is
No,
scary.
it is. And I don't think it's just romantic relationships. I think even non like work relationships are that way. You know, if you don't agree
Yeah,
with me, fuck you. And then you're
yeah,
like, "What? I don't think it should be done that way," you know? But
yeah.
I was talking to you about the Always Sunny podcast, and Rob McElhenney, he has this really great way of conflict resolution or conflict management, and he always looks at conflict in a positive as a positive thing. Like you
Mm.
guys get the opportunity to find a solution, and
Oh,
that's stuck with me because I think everyone else has this view on conflict as a negative thing, like, oh, we're going to actually hit butt head to head, but there's an actual after step that we don't consider or don't get to practice, and I
yeah.
think that's where we should really focus on is let's enjoy this discussion. Let me hear your opposing side to my views, and maybe my stance will change, and maybe not. That's not
Yeah,
the point. The point is just to hear another person's opinion and discuss.
I agree with
So
that.
I
I
do
think,
cherish that about us.
yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is people don't want to be told that they're wrong. They don't want
Yeah.
to lose the argument. They don't want to believe in something for so long, and then and then told that, oh well, this none of this is actually true what you believe. For anything, it really doesn't matter what it's about because it a lot of people will attach who they are to all of those ideas, and when they were told, oh well, you've
Mm.
just been an idiot this entire time and you didn't know it, then it hurts the pride. And I
The
know that
pride,
for
yeah,
myself
yeah.
as a parent. Boy, have I ripped myself apart quite a few times because I
Yeah,
would
you
go
do. Yeah.
into a room after an argument with Kaivi or whatever, and I would just be like, "Dude, you were being so stupid." Like, but in the
Mm.
moment, I did not want to lose. I did not want to be
Yeah,
told
I'm
that I
not
was
backing
wrong.
down.
Yeah, I'm
Right,
not
yeah.
backing down. Yeah, it's the pride, man. It always gets in the way.
It does, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like this. This is the part of the interpersonal relationships that I think while I don't excel at it, I definitely enjoy practicing this side. I don't care if you tell me I'm wrong. Like it doesn't make me wrong. You know, it's
right.
only when I decide to if I'm so insecure in my belief that I feel wrong, then that's more of an inward thing
Yeah,
than anything you could say.
yeah,
But I think for me at the time why I was nervous is because, I have this great friendship and I didn't want to risk it. But I just love how you're so dry about it. Like, just don't be stupid about it. Just talk to me. Don't be
yeah.
dumb. Oh,
Oh yeah,
okay. It's that
that was such a
simple,
great night. Yeah,
It was good. Yeah, it was good. And to be clear, we did get into a pretty in-depth conversation and discussion, but that was relatively new for me. It's not like I've been I got kicked out over a discussion with my dad, and that's kind of like how it's always been. It's
yeah,
you're wrong, you piece of shit. Okay,
yeah.
my bad. I'm sorry. But I'm that's why I've been really happy that you and I are as close as we are, and yeah, so yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, like this has been pretty good. I don't know what else to say right now. Oh, do you know? What's your gray matters question before we get into it? because that's a weak intro to it. But did you have one?
I did. Yeah. You
Okay,
want to hear
sweet.
it?
Yeah, we'll go into it quick.
Okay.
This
Okay.
might not be the end of our podcast. I think we have roughly 3 episodes worth, but we're doing an hour. I don't know how much the last recording was before it cut out, but I like it so far. It's definitely
Yeah.
a lot more relaxed than I started out as. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There. You haven't
Yeah.
had a lot of ums, I don't think.
No, and I notice when I'm in a camera, I don't do that.
Really?
But when it's just me and a mic, I'm doing this a lot. But I
Yeah.
also write down my topics.
Oh, that's great.
Those first few episodes, it was topic by topic, so I'm not sure what it was, but the part was pretty strong. I definitely cut that out. But okay, so we'll get into the thing. So now I'm gonna look in the camera. Relax. Okay,
Where's your
so
hands?
yeah. So okay, so now we're gonna get into this week's what do I call it?
Gray
Gray
matters.
matters. Matters of the
Good
gray.
job.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So we're getting into this week's Matters of the Gray segment, and for this week's Gray Matter, we're going to have our guest Brynan tell us what it is. So hit us with it.
All right. This week's Gray Matters question is anxiety. Wait, actually, I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second here. I
Oh,
already
that's
forgot
good.
it.
I can cut this out too.
Perfect.
What is purple?
Okay. It's what is anxiety and is it detrimental or useful?
Hmm.
Or could it be detrimental or useful?
Did you think about it? Do you have an answer?
I do. And obviously it's all
I
about
can.
perspective. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. No, go ahead. I would love to hear your side. I'll give my thoughts on the next episode, but.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay. So, I believe it's all about perspective. I had ran into somebody. I'm gonna extend this podcast for about another hour with this one. I was
Hell yes.
I was talking to a coworker yesterday, and he's having some issues with a breakup of his happened last Thanksgiving or something. With his girlfriend of 2 years, and apparently he's like run out all his sick time, all his FMLA, because he keeps calling out. He keeps having these panic attacks, anxiety, ridden days, and he just can't handle being around people. So yesterday was another episode of his, and he was sitting there, and I made what I thought was a funny joke to him. I was doing something. He was sitting down. He just looked like he was zoned out. I said, "Hey, what's it like being a cisgendered white straight male in today's world? Pretty powerful." And he gave me like no reaction. I was like, "All right, it's fine. I suck sometimes." So he kind of just like he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "You okay?" And he's like patting his chest. He's like, "No." I said, "You want to talk about it?" So we talked about it. He told me everything about his girlfriend and how he has these panic attacks and stuff. And so I gave him like the best dad advice I could possibly give him. And he was just talking about how the anxiety just gets to him so bad that he has to just go crawl in his room. And you know, sad to hear. He's a young kid. He's like 20 years old, and the whole night crew was just a bunch of college kids that are socially awkward, anxiety-ridden kids that can't really deal with the outside and how people view them or whatever the case may be. And depending on the perspective that they have about it, like for myself, when I'm feeling tired, I sometimes I can, most of the time I can just convince myself that I'm not that tired. I just do what I got to do. And if I listen to myself, I can do it. And then I get bright-eyed. I like my mentality completely. I stop yawning. I stop yawning. Like if you can convince yourself that maybe this is anxiety is something that is useful because it is natural. It's something that your brain is telling you. Like something's happening, and you just need to kind of listen and figure out what it's telling you. If you think of that anxiety as like a really bad thing that's crippling you and stopping you from being able to do anything, then that's exactly what's going to happen. But if it's an anxiety, like for him, example, because he didn't get a Valentine's Day text from his girlfriend. Maybe the anxiety is telling you to remember or think about why she broke up with you. Maybe you just weren't going out with her. He said he wasn't very outgoing when they were in the relationship. Maybe you just need to make different decisions when it comes to a relationship. Better yourself in these different ways where she might have thought that you
Yeah.
you didn't raise yourself up as strong as you could have. Maybe you're just missing opportunities that you still have a chance to grasp onto. The anxiety could just be this buildup of things reminding you that you need to do more with your time, and because everybody can do more with their time, especially these younger kids that are doing
Yeah.
nothing but the scrolling and not doing any character building or physical build or mental building. uh, they're probably going to have a high anxiety because their body's telling them that you're just not doing enough, I think.
Mhm.
So, in my opinion, anxiety is a good thing as long as you let it be a good thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
will. I won't necessarily answer the question because then that's going to be kind of cruddy for next week. But I will say my brain goes exactly kind of where you went. Now, granted, if this is how I look at it, that's how you look at it, and it's just our opinion. I definitely think you should see, if you can, see a health specialist for sure.
Oh, yeah. If you
But
really believe you need it, do that.
absolutely, yeah. I'm not against therapy, or I'm totally for it. But I will say, you had mentioned like looking at yourself and seeing what were you doing that allowed the relationship to break up, because you have a part in that relationship. And so my
Mm-hmm.
brain automatically goes into like this pragmatic view of what did she say that I was lacking, or what do I agree with that led to the breakup of the relationship, because there's still today to change, and tomorrow you could be back together with her better and
Yeah.
stronger than you were yesterday. So I would like to think that I'm trying to exude or let off or try to teach my kids that take responsibility for what you can change, and if you don't like it about yourself, work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a person who broke up with you for A, B, and C, there's your starting point: A, B, and C. When I got 170 pounds, just to make it easy to understand, yeah, I was all upset and depressed that I'm 170 pounds, but that's my starting point. There's your starting point. That's the good
Yeah.
news. You're at 170. It's all uphill or downhill depending on how you want to look at it. Because growing up, I always thought it's all downhill from here. It was a good thing because
Because
it's
it
easy to
seems
go
easier to
downhill, and
walk
all
downhill,
up,
right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
I'm
all
on the same
uphill
page as
was
you.
like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've had people tell me like, no, that now it's uphill from here. Like it's good. I'm like, that sounds horrible. Anyway, so I would just recommend really like yes, you're anxious, and to me, I'm with you. I think anxiety is your body's way of saying you have some clutter in your brain that you should really take the time and think about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
be honest with yourself. Are there things that you dislike that you're ignoring, which I think could
Yeah.
be a generator of anxiety? And really journal, write it down, talk about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the opportunity to talk with the person you want to talk with, that's life. You have yourself to talk to. Open that dialogue up. That inner communication, I think, is super important. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure to check out the show notes. As always, let's give them something to smile about, and we'll see you guys next week.